is about to be announced on the radio here, and we're gonna have that for you, I think.
If we can figure it out.
If we can figure it out, we're going to attempt to anyway. Jeremy Pruitt is going to be named the head coach of the Tennessee Vols. Who was Jeremy Pruitt, you might ask? Ran a pretty good defense there at Alabama for a couple of years. He was 2013. He was at Florida State when they won the national championship as defensive coordinator. So, all in all, I think pretty good hire. What do you think? What do you guys think?
I think it's a far better hire than what they originally intended to hire. The coaching search has been very interesting this year.
And then Pruitt was.
That's true.
So,
My mic won't stay there.
Froze hexed the microphone.
Oh, yeah.
Sounds like it. Sounds like they've got, right now they've got Kessling talking here. So I will, when they actually get to Beverly Davenport or Fulmer, lots happened since we were here last.
Yeah, right, and we've already got a phone call.
We'll go ahead and take this one, but then we're going to be going to the press conference. So, you're on Good Sports.
I don't know. Fro tried to take a call on Intel into his show. I thought that was weird that they immediately hung up. So it may be an issue with the line there.
Could be. Let's see where we're at.
How to build a program. Coach Fulmer issued a statement today saying, and I quote, 6 days ago,
Y'all want to go ahead and play Kessling's part there, or do you want to?
Oh, yeah.
You want to talk a little bit?
Oh, I'm interested in hearing it.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
let's just do that. We'll just go right into that, and then we'll talk about it afterwards.
he's driven to win at the highest level. He will honor our university's values. He will operate with integrity and be a role model for our student athletes. And he said, I know Coach Pruitt will hit the ground running and go to work restoring our program to a championship level, end of quote. Coach Pruitt has been on the coaching side of championship teams. He won 2 state titles at Hoover. He won a national championship as a player development person at Alabama, and then 2 more national championships as an assistant coach, and, of course, won 1 national championship at Florida State. He was named the National Recruiter of the Year in 2012, and twice has been a finalist for the Broyles Award as the nation's top assistant coach. He's coached 34 NFL draft picks and 11 first-team All-Americans. His wife, Casey, is with him on the trip to Tennessee, and he also has 3 children, J.C., Ridge, and Flint. The chancellor at the University of Tennessee, Dr. Beverly Davenport, will start the press conference. Coach Philip Fulmer, the athletics director, is also expected to make some comments. And, of course, we will hear very shortly from Tennessee's new head coach, Jeremy Pruitt. Pruitt, of course, again, was on the Alabama staff. The last 2 seasons, they were number 1 in scoring in both of those years, 11.5 points a game and 13 points a game in 2016. Let's go to the podium and the chancellor, Dr. Beverly Davenport.
Well, it's great to see all of you all again. It hasn't even been a week since I was here introducing our new athletic director, Philip Fulmer. And I have to tell you, after working with him for a week, Philip Fulmer is the most dedicated volunteer I think I've ever met. Vicki, his wife, just told me, well, clap, you go right ahead. He deserves that. His wife, Vicki, just told me, this is a calling. He loves this university, and I'll tell you, I've seen that this week. So, Vicki, I want to thank you. I want to thank your daughters. I want to thank your grandchildren for giving him back to us yet again in another capacity. So thank you so much, Philip. Today, as we all know, he's brought us a new football coach. I know it's something you've all been waiting for, and I sure couldn't be happier to be delivering this news. We've been working really, really hard this week. The last several days have been intense, and I want to tell you again, Philip Fulmer has been full in. He's been a terrific partner. He's worked tirelessly to find our next coach for this historic football program, and I am absolutely confident that Jeremy Pruitt is that person for this program at this time. Jeremy, I want to thank you. Thank you for choosing the University of Tennessee. Thank you for taking on this very important mantle of our program. We welcome you. We welcome Casey. We welcome your son, Ridge, and your son, Jace, and your baby, who couldn't be with us here today. We're sorry he couldn't make it, but we certainly understand that Flint, the little one, probably would have rather be where he is. We're really excited that you're going to be a part of this volunteer family, and I promise you, you're going to love it. I think you're going to quickly see how passionate our fans are and how warm and welcoming they are. This university, this city, this state, and I think the eyes of the nation are looking at us too, are all ready to welcome you. I can see that you've already figured out that we love orange. They had an array of ties for you to pick out. And you'll hear this really quickly, and that color is Pantone 151. They'll be really quick to tell you that. I might have on 152 today, but we love our orange. We talk about wearing it boldly and wearing it proudly, and nearly every day. So, Casey, get ready. You need some new orange in your wardrobe. I met Jeremy before today, and he told me that he started his career in a kindergarten to third grade classroom. That really clinched it for me. I knew he was a teacher, and I knew at the heart of any great teacher was the concern for our students' success, and I so appreciate that, Jeremy. But make no bones about it. He told me he wanted to win championships, and I told him, make no bones about it. Tennessee expects you to. I told Philip from the start, find us the best person for the University of Tennessee football coach, and I truly believe he's done his job. I want to thank you again, Philip, for bringing Jeremy Pruitt to Rocky Top. And now I want to turn the podium over to him to tell you a little bit more about our new head football coach. I don't think he needs an introduction, so without any more, our athletic director at the University of Tennessee, Philip Fulmer.
Well, thank you, Dr. Davenport, and thank everyone for being here. It has been really great to work with Dr. Davenport this week. When I began the process, I had gotten to know the chancellor a little bit through passing and the interview and everything, but having the opportunity to really work closely with her over the last 6 days, I've learned that she's all in for our Tennessee volunteers. She was a great resource for me, and she asked tough questions to help be sure and make sure that we got the right person for the university. She cares about the University of Tennessee, and I saw that firsthand these past few days. I've spent 5 exciting days interviewing outstanding men to be our new football coach. I interviewed head coaches and coordinators with both offensive and defensive backgrounds. My charge from the chancellor, my obligation to our alumni and our great fans, and especially to our former and future players who have or will pour their hearts into this program, was to go find the best coach to get our proud football program back to the level of its championship tradition. We will welcome Coach Pruitt shortly, but as Dr. Davenport did, I want to thank the lady behind the man, Casey Pruitt, and their son Ridge and Jace, and young Flint, who is at home. Coach Pruitt's reputation precedes him. His work ethic, his coaching talents, his recruiting abilities, and his ability to motivate his athletes are all fantastic. He is a teacher, and he changes lives. He is a man of integrity, and he is a great fit for our Tennessee volunteer family. Jeremy has been part of 4 national championships at 2 different schools. He has coached some of the best and brightest players to play the game of football. Alongside some of the best coaches in the game, he has learned his skill well. As I got to know Jeremy, his energy and his personality was infectious. As you get to know him, I think you will agree. And now I'd like to introduce to you Jeremy Pruitt, the head football coach of the Tennessee Football Volunteers. Number 26. You're the 26th guy. Good luck.
I'm sure y'all heard that phone go off. That happened to be my father's. The first thing I want to say is how honored and humbled I am to be recognized as the head football coach at the University of Tennessee. When you talk about tradition, I grew up in a small town in North Alabama, just on the Tennessee River. So you grow up knowing all about the University of Tennessee, where you're running through the Power T, Smoky, the great teams that Coach Nealon, Coach Dickey, Coach Majors, and Coach Fulmer put on the field. There was a time and place that this university was feared among the SEC teams. My goal as the head football coach at the University of Tennessee is to get us back to that point. Thank you. I want to say thank you to Chancellor Davenport, and obviously, as you can see, her personality, one of the first things I thought when I sat down in the room, not only can you recruit to her, she can recruit for you. All right, and I'm excited about the first weekend that we have to get our student athletes in here, and hopefully we can talk her into being a recruiter for us, because I think she'll sign a bunch of them. Dr. Joe, thank you for the opportunity. Coach Fulmer, it's very rare for a first-time football coach, head football coach, that you get an opportunity that your boss, your direct boss, not only has done what Coach Fulmer has done, he's done it at the place that you're about to do it. You know, he sat there and talked, and I know one of the first things when you talk about hiring a coordinator, whether it's offense or defensive coordinator, the question is, you've never been a head coach. Well, guess what? You're not going to be one until you get an opportunity. Thank you for giving me this opportunity, and I'll probably be knocking on your door. Our goal, what kind of football team do we want to have here? My vision for our football team is we want to be a big, fast, dominating, aggressive, relentless football team that nobody in the SEC wants to play. That's my goal. How do we get there? Well, it starts in recruiting, and we started it today, first of all, by recruiting the student athletes on our football team. These guys realize that we want to change the culture. They're hungry. They're excited. I met with the entire team, and I've actually had to turn guys away because they've been waiting outside my door all day. So these guys are ready to get started, and I'm excited about it. To me, what's everybody else's role? It starts with positive energy. It starts with everybody that touches the University of Tennessee, from the employees to the fans, the boosters, and especially the former players. We all have to be positive. We all have to be pulled in one direction. And if we do that, we're all in. We're going to get what we want. Ownership. Everybody in this organization has different roles. We have to own our role, okay? So whatever your role is in the organization, all right, let's get ready, all right, to make Tennessee attractive to the student athletes. The first thing that we're going to do is we're going to put together a staff. The thing that I'm looking for, number one, is good people. There's no substitute for good people. The next thing, I'm looking for teachers. In this day and time, we have to coach everything with our guys. We're going to coach them how to go to class, how to introduce themselves to the professors in their class, because I think that's important. We're going to coach them where to sit in the classroom, how to take notes. We're going to coach them on the field. We're going to coach them in everything that they're going to do here at the university. The staff needs to have guys who have leadership ability. We're going to do that. They're going to be good recruiters, and they're going to be loyal to the University of Tennessee. Recruiting. It's the lifeblood of any organization. We're going to start right here in this state, and we're going to start from Knoxville and work our way out. All right? This is going to be our state. We're going to go out and create relationships, because that's what it's all about. This is still a people business, and we're going to do it, and we're going to start as soon as this meeting is over with. Okay? So I'm probably going to be short so I can get to work. To me, it's all about the student athletes. The type of student athletes that we're recruiting here, the first thing is I want guys who want a degree. That's important to me. We want student athletes who want a degree. We want guys that have a plan. What do they want to major in? And we know that we have the resources here to help anybody achieve their goals. Because at the end of the day, we've got to figure out what they want and find a way to help them get there. We want guys who want to develop and be the best football players on the field. And with the staff that we're going to hire, whether it's a strength staff, support staff, we're going to find ways to help these guys achieve their goals. Expectations. Now, I know everybody in this room, you're excited, okay? All right, I'm going to tell you what my expectations are, okay? Because I'm going to tell you this, all right? Your expectations aren't near what mine are, all right? Because I'm going to tell you right now, my expectations is to win every game we play. That's the expectation I have, okay? So, to me, I'm a firm believer that our players will take on the personality of the head football coach. That's what I believe, all right? And I believe that our team will do that. I'm going to tell you this. In recruiting, we're going to go mix it up for the best players that fit the University of Tennessee all over the country. Because the brand name of the University of Tennessee, it's sales. Growing up in North Alabama, VFL, all right, that's a name brand, and we're going to recruit to that. Understand that. What kind of football team are we going to have on offense? I know that will be a question. What are we going to do? The first thing offensively, I feel like we've got to create balance. We want to be able to run the football when we want to run it, okay? It starts with dominating the line of scrimmage. There's no secret. If you want to be successful in this league, you got to dominate up front, all right? And that's mental and physical toughness. We want to create explosive plays in the pass game. That starts with being able to run the football. Defensively, we want to create an aggressive style of defense that we dictate what the offense does. We're not going to sit back on our heels. All right, we're not going to play off wide receivers. We're going to walk up at the line of scrimmage, and we're going to challenge, and every inch that the other team gets is going to be challenged. Let me tell you this. I got in this business for the kids. Chancellor Davenport talked about I was a K through third grade PE teacher. I'd done it for 3 years. I told her in the interview, I taught everybody from 2001 to 2004 how to tie shoes in the city of Fort Payne. I started suggesting Velcro. Now, I just looked down at my notes, and I'd done this the last time I talked in public. I didn't think my wife. I thanked everybody in the building, but I didn't thank my wife. So I'm going to start back over to that point, or I'll forget again. All right? I want to thank Casey, Jace, Ridge, and Flint obviously is not here. But most importantly, the reason I thought about it is because why did I get in the business? All right? I got in the business because my dad, he was a high school football coach. The impact that him and my mom had on the community that they live in today. He was a head football coach there for 26 years. I saw how they inspired people in our community. So I knew at a very young age that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to be like my dad. So thank you for inspiring me. Thank you. Without y'all, I wouldn't be standing up here today. Now, here's why I came. I want to challenge everybody that's associated with the University of Tennessee. All right? I'm going to tell you this. You didn't draft me. I chose to be here. I told the players today, they chose to sign with the University of Tennessee. Now, it's going to, what we want, where we want to go, we're talking about championships. All right? Instead of let's talking about what we want, let's figure out how to get there. It's going to take everybody associated with this university. Everybody, all right, from the people that work in administration, all right, to the people that work out in maintenance. It don't matter, okay? So how do we get there? It's positive energy. It's all in. When people come to this campus, it's got to be contagious. I want to be a part of it, all right, because that's what it starts with. All right, now, when we get out on the road recruiting, right now everybody's all excited. Everybody's all excited, okay? We got a new football coach. All right, I'm going to tell you, my goal is 5 years from now when I stand up here, you're this excited. Everybody understand that? That's my goal, okay? So I'm challenging everybody that's associated with this university, all right? Let's get our hands out of our pocket, okay? Let's roll our sleeves up, all right? And let's get ready to get in the streets with everybody else in the SEC, all right? That's what we've got to do to be successful, all right? If we want to get what we want, we got to outwork everybody. All right? And let's not talk about it. Let's go do it. It starts today. Everybody associated with it, let's get ready, all right, to go get what we want. That's it for me. I'm going to take questions now.
Steve, we have a microphone right there.
Steve McGargy, Associated Press. Just from an outsider's perspective, what was your impression of Tennessee from having faced them, and what do you think needs to be changed to get to where you want it to be?
You know, I'm a firm believer you don't look in the rearview mirror. There's nothing I can do about what's happened here in the past. It will have no effect of what happens here in the future, okay? So I started here to work today, so I'm looking this way. Okay, I'm looking this way with our student athletes. There's nothing that happened last year is going to affect what's going to happen in the future, okay? And our guys are going to understand that. So we're focused on what it's going to take for us to have success. And I think we laid out a plan today, and our guys are kind of, I can see them. When you start talking to them and their legs start shaking, you got them. When they sit on the edge of their seats and they start leaning into you, you got them, all right? So I think our guys are pretty excited. All right, now we've got to take it one day at a time, okay? And my challenge for them was this. I said, here's my goal. All right, here's your first test for me, for Coach Pruitt. It's finals week. If you got a 65 in a class, let's find a way to get it to a 70. If you got an 88 in a class, let's find a way to get it to a 91. Okay, let's see how we're going to finish, because what we're going to talk about, and if you want to have success in this conference, you better learn how to finish in the classroom, on the football field, and everything you do.
Patrick Brown with 24/7 Sports. Jeremy, are you going to coach in Alabama's playoff games, and how are you going to kind of balance the next couple of weeks between the two jobs?
The first thing is, I'm going to go back to why I got in this business. I got in this business for the kids. I work for the University of Tennessee. I'm all in at the University of Tennessee. Until the dead period, we are going to recruit. I'm going to work as the head football coach at the University of Tennessee, and we're going to do the best that we can to start going in the right direction. Now, I also have a commitment to the kids that I set in their home with their parents and recruited them to go to the University of Alabama. Coach Saban has been wonderful to me. I wouldn't be here today without his help. And so I'm going to go back when the dead period starts, and I'm going to coach those kids. Because at the end of the day, it's about those guys. It's about the kids in this business. That's why we're here. So, yes, I'm going to go back and finish. Once we go back, I'll be back here started.
Coach Pruitt, AustinPriceFalkWest.com. When you look at this potential staff, how much do you make up of it out of guys that have had experience in this league and maybe even experience here?
Well, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take our time. We're going to find the right fit for the University of Tennessee. We're going to find people of integrity, like I said, good teachers, people that are loyal and can recruit. I don't think it matters if you're from Tennessee, you're from Alaska, you're from California. The name brand at the University of Tennessee sells itself. You just got to be willing to get out there and sell it.
Wes, then Blake, then John.
Wes Rucker, 24/7 Sports. Jeremy, for all those things on your resume and all those wins and all those championships, and I'm not sure you've been a head coach before, and when you go through that as a first time, who are some people you can lean on for those problems that maybe come across the head coach's desk but don't come across the coordinator's desk?
Well, you know, Coach Fulmer's office isn't very far from mine. My dad has been a head coach I don't know how long and still is. And I've had the opportunity, I've worked 8 years for Nick Saban. I've worked 2 years for Mark Richt, 1 year for Jimbo Fisher. All three of those guys will probably be in the Hall of Fame. Coach already is. So I think as well as a assistant coach could be, I think I've worked for the men that could help prepare me for the day-to-day operations.
And that was new head football coach at Tennessee, Jeremy Pruitt. Thoughts, guys? I thought the biggest cliche in football coaches is he won the press conference. But to me, he won the press conference. He sounded like a football coach instead of a polished, smooth-talking used car salesman. No offense to used car salesmen, but
Easy, Tommy.
yeah.
I liked his enthusiasm. And even though he's not what you call a Tennessee guy, the fact that he grew up in the South, in an area that knows Tennessee.
Oh yeah.
Hoover, Alabama, where he grew up, he knows the history of Tennessee. Even though he may not have attended school there or played there, he understands it. He gets it. You could tell from the enthusiasm of the way he talked about some parts of what he was going to do. He's all in. He's ready. And I love the way he addressed the question of going back and coaching the kids at Alabama for the championship game.
Yes.
He's in it. He's going to be here until the dead period. During the dead period, he's going to go back to Alabama and going to coach the kids at Alabama. And I respect his commitment to them, that he wants to see that through and finish the job there, whatever that winds up being, and then he'll come back to Tennessee. I think that is an excellent way of dividing his attention, in that he's here until the dead period. Once the dead period hits, he's all back at Alabama. Once their year is done, he's Tennessee.
So what I want to see is Alabama lose, because I can't root for Alabama, but I want to see them to lose 3-0.
Got you. I can follow that. Yeah, the 43-year-old head coach there, did win the press conference, as you say there.
And he was he's an Alabama guy, but he grew up. He was born and grew up closer to Knoxville than he was Alabama. I looked up to see where he was whenever he said, on the Tennessee River. It was Rainsville, Alabama, which is, of course, just right over the state line, down 59 there. So, I mean, we're talking an hour from here.
Okay, and let me put it like this, and a lot of people tend to want to overlook this because of his connections to Tennessee and Peyton Manning and all that he's done to Tennessee. David Cutcliffe, a coach that many wanted to see come back to Tennessee. Where did he play his college ball?
Alabama.
Linebacker at Alabama.
I didn't
Was
know
not
that,
even
Brian.
an offensive player.
Under
Was-
Bear Bryant.
I did not know that.
And here he was, one of the finest offensive coordinators Tennessee seen in their history, I think you can arguably say. And he was a linebacker in college.
Interesting, very interesting.
So, and if you go back in some of I forgot the third Sunday or third Saturday in October, the book that was written. If you actually go through that book and look at the pictures, you will see Cutcliffe's picture in an Alabama uniform making a tackle against Tennessee.
I would have never thought that.
But I've got the book, and I do remember that picture in that book. But a lot of people say, why do we want an Alabama guy at Tennessee? I said, we want a football coach that's worth his salt. And I think we've got one.
That's the advantage there. He's in the South, been in the South, knows these players, knows kids, probably knows junior high kids that are potential recruits there. I wonder if there's a gentleman's agreement between him and Saban that anybody was, on the fence, or you leave them alone, or is it all is fair in love and war and recruiting? What's going to happen to those?
Yeah, that'll be interesting. That's going to be interesting the way that plays out.
Some of the reports that you read, if you go back to when Kirby Smart moved to Georgia, that was a bit of a problem because all of a sudden Kirby Smart is recruiting for his team, which means he's going to be recruiting against Nick Saban.
What's a
We've got the same situation right here. Jeremy Pruitt is going to be recruiting to Tennessee against Nick Saban for some of these athletes this year.
Yeah.
So that's going to have to be something to be addressed. I hope it works out in a gentlemanly way to where we don't have a huge controversy over it. But once he's done at Alabama and back up here in the spring, all bets are off. He's got to do the best he can do for Tennessee.
Absolutely.
And I think Nick Saban will understand that if not, even if he doesn't like it.
Did I get that right? He was in that position for 8 years?
No, he wasn't he worked for
Smart or
he worked for Jimbo Fisher at Florida State for 1 year. He was defensive coordinator for Mark Ritt.
2 years before that.
Yeah.
So it's a net total of 8 years as offensive coordinator.
As a defensive coordinator.
Defensive coordinator.
He was the head coach at Hoover, winning state championships when they had their run. He was the head coach there. Basically a winner everywhere he's been. I'll tell you what, a lot's happened since we had our show last week. When we left here last Thursday night, John Curry was still the athletic director.
And there's discussions about Mike Leach.
And we were discussing Mike Leach. Yes, I thought that, and Tennessee's fan base was being dogged out by the media because of the way we handled poor Schiano.
I don't know how much you've noticed it, but I've kind of noticed it. Is although you still have a few, that tone has really changed since Friday when they dismissed John Curry and named Phil Fulmer as athletic director.
Yeah.
One of the greatest, and I'm sure Tommy saw a lot of the same things I saw on Twitter, was all last week from Sunday through Friday morning or Friday, Twitter was on fire. I mean, it was absolutely on fire.
I think we were following just about the same people and retweeting the same stuff.
I think we were too a lot of times. And then at the same time, Phil Fulmer Friday afternoon is announced as AD. Twitter just exploded. Right move.
Positive.
Right move.
Everything was positive.
And then all of a sudden, it just went silent. It was quiet. There was nothing, very little really going on. They just talked about the coaching search and everything, but nothing like what had been the week before.
But Fulmer handled the coaching search the way you're supposed to handle interviews. You interview several people, you go back, you assess the situation, maybe even reassess it, and then you pick your guy.
And
it kind of seemed to me like with Curry, everybody that he passed by and interviewed, he was offering the job to.
Yeah.
Or at least that's what it sounded like. And then there were those people that said that, Fulmer sabotaged Curry and his search.
Yeah.
They also said the same thing, that Fulmer sabotaged Majors when he took over the interim role there. If we go 152 and 52 over our next 204 games, then I'll take it.
Yeah. Interesting thing, and I know you've seen some of my, what I sent you today, the coaching search, the coaches that I had listed. Curry's list: Mike Leach, Justin Fuente, Matt Campbell, Mike Norville, and then you had Greg Schiano, which ignited the firestorm, Chip Kelly, Dan Mullen, which was probably a pretty decent attempt right there, David Cutcliffe, Mike Gundy, Dave Doring, and Scott Frost, who also is probably a good choice. He got the job at Nebraska. And then you go back and you look at Fulmer's group. Of course, we hired Jeremy Pruitt, Kevin Steele, Brent Venables, T. Martin was approached, David Shaw, DJ Durkin, Blake Anderson, Mike Bobo, Jeff Grome, Les Miles, and Chad Morris. That was not really a questionable candidate in Fulmer's list. Every one of them was good candidates for a head coaching job. Curry's list was, you might have, about maybe a third of them was probably decent candidates.
Mm-hmm.
Huge difference. And these names was coming out, everybody that was tweeting out and talking about this in social media was all going, says, well, that's not a bad idea. That could be a good choice. There's good things about that coach. Even Mike Bobo, who, is a Georgia man, got a lot of positive attention in his comments and everything. And you're right. Coach Fulmer handled it quietly and professionally.
And I think, you said you saw a quiet over Twitter. You didn't see the outrage. I think when Fulmer was put into play, just hearing his voice as a volunteer again just instantly calmed everybody.
Yeah.
I know it did for me. I didn't worry about the coach's search because I thought, whoever he ends up with is the right guy for Tennessee.
Probably the one line of tweets that I read that was amazing was right after he was announced as athletic director, the first thing he said, we're going to get a good coach the right way.
Looks like they've done it. Oh, I don't see any missteps. There's not going to be something found in the background here. And,
No, I don't think so.
I'm not even going there with that, but, yeah.
I like this tweet that somebody had put out earlier in the week. It said, Fulmer has that unique quality of making the entire fan base feel like we're sitting on Papa's lap driving the tractor. He's just smiling.
That's a good one.
That's, and I, you tweeted out the video earlier in the week, that they had put out under Fulmer's.
Yes.
Just everything about it seemed right.
Yeah, and the thing of that little video, if you watched it, all of a sudden you're saying, yes, let's get it done. We're headed in the right direction. And it reminded you of all the good things at Tennessee that have taken place over the years. And it wasn't necessarily that there wasn't some Butch Jones clips in there. There was. It wasn't like what happened in the last few years got excluded. It was highlights of stuff that a Tennessee fan is going to go, yes.
When you think back on the Butch Jones tenure now, the hiring process, what was third, fourth, fifth choice, whatever it was, and, were we, the powers that be, forced to settle on a mid-major successful coach and hope for the best?
Well, one of their early targets and who they actually offered the job first was Charlie Strong, which he is a very good coach. And he went back to Louisville, and they offered him enough that he changed his mind. And so I think that the AD of the time did much the same thing as Curry did when his first choice got thwarted. He went in panic mode and just started trying to find somebody. And the other thing that I think that this also showed is the respect that Coach Fulmer carries in the coaching community. And all of a sudden, this lent credence that the Tennessee was ready to do things right.
What do
After
you
9 years of doing wrong.
in some of the recruiting there of the current the guys that turned it down? What do you think for some of the sticking points? Like they got up on the table and said, "No, what some of those guys are making $4 million and they were going to offer reports $6 and $7 million. What were the sticking points to turn down the job?"
Honestly, I think working for guys like Mike Hamilton and John Curry. I mean, you've got two guys that were, again, salesmen as opposed to being, and I'll just say salesmen. I'm not going to throw what they're selling, but salesmen instead of football minds. I mean, you go back and look at some of the best athletic directors. Barry Alvarez at Wisconsin, former football coach there.
Yeah.
Of course, Doug Dickey here at Tennessee was Fulmer's boss. And those guys know enough about football to get out of the way and let the coaches do their job, give them the support staff that they need, the money that they need to hire quality assistants and to make the program better. When you're working for people like the Mike Hamiltons and the John Currys, it's more about the dollar signs and the renovations.
Yeah.
And who we can please this week as far as the donors.
So, a number of the things you heard out of the rumor mill suggested that there was background communications saying, you really don't want to work for this guy. You really don't want to work for that guy. There's nothing that I can actually point to saying that this is true or not.
Yeah.
But that's the rumors. That's the stuff that you get in social media. And you don't even in social media, and I think Tommy will vouch for this too, you don't get very much stuff that is repeated over and over by different people unless there's something behind it.
Yeah, I'm agreeing that. Yeah,
I mean it's hard, and even in Twitter, there's some stuff that I saw this week that suggested that Pruitt was out of the picture, and then he's in the picture. You've got to watch that kind of thing because there's a lot of stuff going on. A lot of people trying to ring in and throw stuff, red herrings out there and mess with you and everything else like that. So you kind of have to be careful and take some of it with a grain of salt. But if you get a number of different people that are not connected repeating the same thing over and over, and they're not just redoing the same thing somebody else has done, there might be a little something back there behind that comment.
Fulmer, after we turned it off, Fulmer went back on stage after Pruitt concluded. Some of his comments, it's not going to be perfect all the time, but you've got a lot better chance to do well when you're pulling together than you do when you're pulling apart.
Yeah.
And if you look at Tennessee over the last 9 years, it was all about pulling apart. It was about control. It was about who of the boosters, got their way.
Well, there was one tweet out there that repeated a story that basically said that one booster made the comment to Coach or AD Curry, says, "You've got your job, do your thing. I'll pay the amount of money I'm supposed to pay and not one dime more because I don't like you, and I'll stay out of your way if you stay out of my way."
Oh my goodness.
So, there was things like that hurt the entire volunteer family. when you've got strife inside like that. As I said, get everybody pulling together in the same direction. Now, there's also a lot of comments out there about the so-called number one booster of the Volunteers and how much control he has, and this was referred to as a fan revolt against him and the status quo that he was espousing.
Let's see.
And apparently, and you know, you can take it for what it was. It's a rumor off of Twitter, but apparently that guy also was more in the corner of the Georgia defensive coordinator.
Yeah.
Not Matt. Mel
Tucker.
Tucker Turner.
Tucker, I think.
Anyway, but Fulmer decided to go this direction instead.
Yeah.
I think he made the right call. I think that.
I think we're looking at a situation where Fulmer was given the authority to make the call, and he went out and found what he felt was going to be the best choice of everybody that we had out there.
And I want to say this. I thought that Chancellor Beverly Davenport showed a lot of guts last week by not only bucking, John Curry and then kicking him to the side, but, bucking those boosters that supported Curry. When Curry was ousted last week, it was reported that those boosters wanted his assistant athletic director to assume the role, and she said, no,
yeah.
Fulmer's my guy.
Yeah.
And again, you go back to what the Tennessee fan base did 5 days before to get this all rolling. If it hadn't have been leaked on Twitter by whoever did for the athletic department, then we would be sitting in week 2 of Greg Schiano as our head coach, and we wouldn't have anything we could do about it. And we would be headed toward a mid-20s recruiting class and probably 4 or 5 more 4-8, 5-7 type seasons.
The one thing that I took out of all of that was, and you're starting to see some concern from various sources, including the media, that the fans took control of this search. And what is it going to mean for other athletic directors? And what's it going to mean for coaching searches into the future with other schools and other ADs? And what is the fan base going to be like? And I'm not so sure that it's going to dictate anything into the future.
I don't think it changes anything.
I don't think it changes a whole lot. It just, I think what it does say is that the Tennessee fan, rank and file fan, saw things going wrong again, headed in the wrong direction, continuing to head in the wrong direction, and they said, enough is enough. And I saw some tweets today, since this is, Coach Pruitt has broken out and it's kind of became apparent that he was the man, that there was a lot of people that tweeted out, said, a lot of people may have been laughing at the Tennessee fans for what they did on Twitter, but they got something better than what they was getting out of it.
Gotcha.
Yes.
Agree with that. Looks like we've got our man here. All means 1-0 right now. Press conference winner. Looks like we got somebody trying to call in over there at that phone line. That proves
You're on Good Sports?
Hey, Tommy, I'm on, Doc.
What's going on?
What's going on, guys? I think it's pretty decent of Phil Fulmer to step in there like he did because he didn't have to, and he kind of got the axe too, didn't he?
Yes. Unprecedented. First time ever at a coach that had been fired from a university came back to be their athletic director.
a lot of firsts here.
Well, it's just part-time. He's not the athletic director. He's just filling in part-time, isn't he?
No, he's the athletic director. He signed a 2-year contract. Athletic director for $520,000 or $560,000 a year, roughly.
Well, I have to respect the man because he is a Tennessee true heart because he played for them and he's just trying to get them back on the road. And I have to give him respect for that because he didn't have to come back and do nothing.
Yeah, and especially the way he was let go.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of guys out there that that's pride wouldn't let them. I don't care what the money was. I mean, he's had enough money to sit back and retire and play with the grandkids.
Oh, yeah, sure. I wish I made $10,000. I'd be satisfied.
You know, and one of the things a lot of people was questioning, Coach Pruitt has a 6-year deal.
I wondered about that.
I think the number is $3.8 to $4 million a year, with a $6 million buyout if they fire him before December 15th of 2018, which I don't foresee that happening. But the same token, a lot of people was making hay with the idea that does a coach want to come in and work for an athletic director that's only going to be there a short time?
Yeah.
And I don't think that worked in this particular case because of who the AD was. Philip Fulmer, a Hall of Famer. He's coming back and he's stepping in to fix a problem and get the university back in the straight and narrow of what we need to be doing.
You just answered my question. I really think I don't know this coach too good. I know he was Alabama for a while. Maybe he'll get him back on the straight road. I hope he does.
I think he has the potential to. It's and the thing of it is, it's like every other case. He said it in his interview or in his press conference. Every offensive or defensive coordinator has to be given a chance to be a head coach before you can actually see what they are. Now, one of the things that some people have pointed to is that Saban's offensive and defensive coordinators don't have a great track record. But you know something? The last Kirby Smart, Lane Kiffin, the last 2 or 3 have shown real potential as head coaches and done good jobs at their respective schools thus far.
I mean, honestly, you look at the two biggest failures. Derek Dooley, who was never a coordinator, and then went to Louisiana Tech, and then came to Tennessee, and was hired basically because of his name, and Jim McElwain, which McElwain, a good head coach, just not a good fit at Florida.
Yeah, and the thing of it is, you look at Jim McElwain, Will Muschamp, and, you know, 2 of the most glaring failures so far that you can kind of point to. But I'm not so sure that they're failures. I just think they was at the wrong place at the wrong time. And I told Tommy this when Will Muschamp was hired to South Carolina. I said, how many head coaches do a much better job second time around than they do their first time?
And he has. And I didn't think he would do that well there. He's really surprised me.
But then at the same time, is he in a better situation than he was at Florida, too, as far as building the team and getting there? The expectations at South Carolina as far as what the coaching does as much out of line as they would have been as it was at Florida when he took the job there?
I think that must
Just a couple more things. I didn't know if you guys heard me on the Coach Shriver show this morning. What I did, he had a Autumn O'Brien come in there. You know who she is.
Yep.
So I actually made a special guest appearance. I sneaked in on him this morning and went there and gave her a big hug. I said she's been really great to me, and they honored me over in 2014, and I surprised him. And Coach Shriver, he said, "Don't be a stranger." He said, "You're welcome here anytime." But I sneaked in on this morning and surprised her, and I think it made her feel good that I respect her so much.
Yeah, I kind of heard a little bit of that in running around the house getting ready to head for work.
Yeah, and one more thing, if I don't, who you guys? I'm on. You know who my second team is at Locking College. I don't know if you know it or not, but I hope Alabama wins, and hope they play Oklahoma. I don't know if that's going to be it or not. It could be vice versa. It could be Clemson playing Georgia.
Yeah.
I kind of hope Alabama does. I think this year they're going to get back at Clemson because I watched that game last year, and Alabama didn't look too good last time they played, though, but maybe they'll wake up, and I think Alabama's defense has got to improve or they ain't going to win this. They ain't going to beat Clemson.
Alabama's got a little bit of the problem Tennessee had at the end of the season. They got a little bit of an injury bug going on.
Yeah, I hope they're ready to play though in the 1st of January. I think that's what it is. And now Oklahoma is not going to be an easy team to put out.
Now, They're going to be tough. They're going to be tough.
But Georgia's tough too.
Yeah, I've actually got Georgia playing in the national championship game and contest we're doing at work.
Well, guys, I appreciate you letting me carry on there a little bit, and I enjoyed listening to good sports, and I appreciate you guys.
Well, thanks a lot. Have a good one.
Okay, guys, talk to you later.
All right. Well, we're going to have just a couple more minutes here, unless Doc, unless you're wanting to step over in my seat.
We'll think we'll just call it an hour here.
All
Big
right,
day at the
but
Salt Mine tomorrow.
Before that, though, you want to go over our pick'em contest?
Got to get that in.
As we're searching there, not to change the subject, but quickly, the men's basketball team, are they for real? Or is it just a victim of the schedule? University of Tennessee.
That schedule's pretty tough.
That schedule's tough. I think they're for real. I think the Barnes hire was an excellent hire, and I think he's going to do a good job with the basketball team. Champion of our picking contest here, Brian Russell, won with a 158-31 record. Ron was second. And why I'm on, got to say, Ron, get well soon.
I didn't know.
Ron has been in the hospital the last couple of days, afraid that he had some heart issues. They figured out it wasn't, it was serious, but it was all stuff that could be handled with drugs. He's still in the hospital tonight with some issues with an infection that they're trying to figure out, but should be getting out in the next day, hopefully by tomorrow.
Yeah.
But best wishes to Ron. He's missing the initial wrestling matches tonight, and maybe next week. I'm not sure about that yet, and he's not happy about that. But,
I wouldn't think so.
I understand how he feels because I was there last year. He missing 4 of the first Bradley football games for a medical reason. So our best wishes for Ron. Everything appears to be headed in the right direction.
Very good.
So
encouraging report.
I wound up third with a 152.37 mark. Ron had a mark of 156.33. Travis ended fourth, way high for him, 150.39 record. Dustin and Danny tied for fifth with a 149.40 record. Tommy was seventh with a 145.44. Patrick was eighth with a 110.79 record. He missed a few weeks, which really hurt his numbers. And Doc, trying his best for an 0-12 record, wound up with a 39.150 and 9. Hey, Doc, it's as hard to go 0-12 as it is to go 12-1, 12-0.
Again, that was 39 and 150.
39 and 150.
39 and 150, a record of
championships.
Oh yeah,
Class 1A, Greenback won it over Connorsville, won 42-24. 3A championship was won by Alcoa over Covington, 31-20. The 5A championship, Knox Catholic won it over Beach, 45-28. The 2A championship was won by Tyner over Union City in 2 overtimes, 27-21.
Oh. Yeah.
The 4A championship was won by Greenville over Springfield, 54-13. Maryville beat Cane Ridge for the 6A championship, 42-7.
42-7. I watched that game up until the third quarter. Did you guys get to see any of it live?
I watched most of it.
It was so methodical, such an incredible performance, and focused. It just absolutely made me sick.
And when you look at that, and as Bradley fans, we look at what Bradley did against them.
Yeah.
Bradley didn't do too awfully bad.
I think Duval gave them the toughest run during the season.
Well, Catholic gave them the toughest run
Really?
because it's a 1-point ball game.
I didn't.
Yeah.
Was that a missed extra point or just field goal versus touchdown thing?
I forgot exactly what the reason was, but it was a 1-point ball game. And Maryville had to come back from behind to win.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Catholic. That was the same classification?
Nope.
Private.
Catholic is 5A.
5A.
In the Division II, the private section, Friendship Christian beat DCA 34-10. Notre Dame lost to Lausanne 41-13. And Brentwood Academy beat MBA 28-14 in a pretty good ball game. So I watched that on Saturday night.
Very, very good there.
Well, that will put the high school football season to bed pretty much as far as games. I think you've got maybe a couple of awards or something that you're wanting to. You look like you wanted to say something about, or maybe first team or second team or something.
Oh, and we'll not worry about that tonight. I think I covered that a little bit of that last week. National championship is going to be decided between Clemson, Oklahoma, Georgia, and Alabama. Those are the teams that we playing for that. Tennessee, of course, they hired the coach. And NASCAR Minute. I got to hit on a couple of things on NASCAR right quick. Junior has been named to be Grand Marshal of the Daytona 500 next spring.
Gentlemen, start your engines.
Gentlemen, start your engines.
No.
which I think is a terrific thing. He's retiring, and he's been very good at Daytona. So that's a nice thing. A sad thing, Hall of Fame member Bud Moore, who used to be a car owner in the Top Series, passed away at the age of 92. He is the oldest living member of the Hall of Fame and a member of the Greatest Generation and a veteran of World War II.
Wow, impressive lifetime resume there.
And probably one of the most surprising moves that comes out today is Richard Petty Motorsports is leaving Ford and moving to Chevrolet for next season, and he'll be aligning himself with Richard Childress Racing. So that's going to be a big thing right there. He has run Chevrolet GM products in the past, but this is a big thing.
Didn't he get most of his wins as Pontiac?
No, he got most of his wins Chrysler, Dodge, and Plymouths.
That's right.
And then, of course, now he did run Buicks, Pontiacs, and Chevrolets at various times through the late 80s, through the 80s.
Right.
But let's see, I was trying to think that's something else. It's kind of surprising, and it's a surprise, but it's not a surprise because Stuart Haas Racing has moved to Ford. You've got Roger Penske's organization is Ford, and Jack Rouse's organization is Ford, and Yates is part of the Ford umbrella. So where does that relieve Richard Petty as a Ford team in the pecking order?
Yeah.
So it makes sense that the fact that now you've got Hendricks and RCR is basically your only team still running Chevrolets. So it makes sense for somebody in the lower end of the Ford and possibly even the Toyotas to start looking at making the moves over to Chevrolet to get more support and everything there. One other thing I got to remember, this is it's a history thing. December 7th, 1941, Pearl Harbor Day.
Wow.
Was today, the attack on Pearl Harbor, and they had a ceremony today, this morning at 10 o'clock, in memory of the survivors of Pearl Harbor. And at that meeting at the Elks Club, they had George Allen, who is 95 years old and the oldest remaining, the only living survivor from Cleveland, Tennessee that served at Pearl Harbor on that fateful day.
Wow.
95 years young.
95 years young.
Story. I visited Pearl Harbor in September of '99. There, very moving experience.
Yeah. Of course, Saturday, Old Town Cleveland is to be on the air, and they'll be talking about Allen School.
Allen School.
And Dwayne Shriver has got his morning shows from 7 to 8 in the mornings on the Loop, and been listening to that, and it sounds like he's starting to get into his own. It sounded pretty good. He's going to have a lot of guests from the school systems and local community starting to roll in here.
Very, very good. Go Whoop.
Go Whoop.
Go Dwayne there.
Well, all right. Well, we're going to get out of here. Got somewhere I need to be, and we will be back with you next week. Talk a little bit more football, see if Coach Pruitt can stop a little bit of the bleeding of recruits.
There's already one recruit who's a top receiver who's already put Tennessee at the top of his list.
Yeah, and he went from not having Tennessee on to putting them in the top 4 when Pruitt was announced earlier in the day.
We're off to a good start.
So, yeah.
And the other thing is Coach Frillman has already been burning up the phone lines with the likes of Cade Mays and other people like that. We got Pruitt on board. I don't know that we're going to save anybody, but I think the chances are very good to pull some of them back into the fold and I think we'll pick up some decent recruits because of who we hired. Not going to be a banner year, I don't think. It's too far gone to be a banner year as far as recruits, but I think we can get some good recruits in.
And there's still some talent up there.
Yes.
So Big Orange.
So everybody have a great week. We will talk to you again next week about the same time, and try to go for 2 hours next week. But it's kind of getting to that close to Christmas time,
And
it's
next
hard,
week will probably be our last show before
possibly.
Christmas.
So everybody have a great week. Enjoy your weekend. Stay warm. I'm moving to Florida.
See you guys.
See ya.
It's Mr. Johnny Paycheck. Yeah.